buddy?
I'm all right. I'm all right. I'm just relaxing, actually.
Yeah,
just,
a lot of people, I mean, we talk by message every day, but people have been asking me, where is he? Why is he so quiet? And have you got off a couple of your social media networks? Are you not doing that? Because they're saying he's not answering anything. I don't know what you know what? The social media thing to me is a total new thing. I don't know who I follow, what groups I'm in, and who sends me what. I just look at it and, you know, it's confusing. But
yeah,
say,
exactly.
where's the king?
Well, yeah, exactly. What's happened is that a whole lot of people have started up Joseph Gregory Hallett, King John III fan Facebook pages.
Yeah.
And sometimes I go on Facebook and I'm on a fan page and I want to get rid of some shell and I can't because it's actually not my page. So I've had to repeatedly go back to people and say, which one's my page? And I go, oh, it's King's Patriot. Okay. So I go into King's Patriot and that's the only legitimate Facebook page. That's the only one I can get rid of people and add to.
You know what you should do is send me a link of that afterwards now, because I'll tell people just go here, because I don't know either. There's that many pages up. It's completely confusing.
Yeah, and you got to wonder if it's on purpose.
Yeah. Well, you're an expert at that. You see, one thing I'm mad about with you is you never warned me how weird it was going to get, did you?
I mean, you know, there's weird people with good intentions, and there's and then the other extreme is this unweird people with bad intentions. And in the middle, there's some really weird people with bad intentions who end their talks with peace. But it's all shit, you know? It's all unrelated shit. So the latest one is that I'm best friends with Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah, I've been fighting that all week, man. One lady, she really wound me up because she said, close ties. I said, close ties? He met Jack for 3-4 days on the film set. It happened 15 years before he'd even met Jack, and he'd never met him before or since. So I mean,
I've never met Mr. and I've never met Ghislaine, and I've got no dealings. You know, so people are really clutching at straws because there is nothing happening.
Yeah.
There's bullshit COVID, and the British royal family have been given their Flatlie Royal, and they've been given their Flatlie Royal marching orders.
Yeah.
And they're not allowed back into any symbols. So they're not allowed back into Buckingham Palace because they've basically trounced the United Kingdom and they've trounced the whole status of royalty and just destroyed it into pedophilia, cannibalism, murder, mass murder, heroin trafficking, shitty, useless laws, and giving away the United Kingdom to a bunch of creepy Nazi pedophiles in Europe.
You know, 6 months ago, people would have said you're crazy, but you know, with all the information slipping out now, it's becoming more and more clear that everything you've talked about is true. I mean,
yeah, not only that, is that the legal documents I've deposited and sent to Trump and the Queen and the Pope and the Prime Minister of Israel and Putin and the entire British royal family and the head of Freemasonry. They're using it as a script. They're so solid on my information. It's the script.
So, yeah, explain that a bit, man.
Well, the first 20 pages I did in my statement of claim that I first recorded in the Common Law Court of Great Britain and International on the 1st of November 2019.
Yeah.
And then posted out on the 17th of November 2019. They're just running. They're running with it. They're working on it. They're enacting it. They're doing everything I've said and reacting to it in a negative and positive way. Like, you know, they're in denial, but they're running away, or they're removing, say, Prince Andrew. And it's all good. It's all good.
Well, this is one of the things we should talk about, because the last episode we put out, it said in 21 days they've got time to respond to your points. So as of today, what's today? Today's the 28th, is it?
28th of July, 2020.
28th of July. Have you had anything back contesting any of the points you put in there?
No. I've had an affirmation from President Donald John Trump.
Yeah, tell us about that. You mentioned that to me, but it's better that you would talk about that.
I sent him the documents. I sent everyone the documents on the same day. He received his, it spent like £55 posting it to him. So it got there quick, you know, it got there in about 4 days. I think I posted them on the 14th July. You got it on the 16th of July. It was phenomenally quick. And a week, so what it outlined was that the courts of England and Wales are heavily invested in a secret private stock exchange that is run and dominated by heroin traffickers, drug traffickers, and human traffickers in Jacksonville, Florida.
Yeah.
And Trump reacted exactly a week later on the 23rd of July. He received it on the 16th. He reacted a week later on the 23rd of July by abandoning his presidential race appearance at Jacksonville, Florida.
Wow.
You know? So that's pretty amazing. And I've written a certificate. I've written a proclamation. I've written 2 proclamations so far as the king, you know, because I'm allowed to, because I've been signed in as the king by the people on the 9th of July. So I've written a proclamation awarding the Common Law Court of Great Britain and International above the status of the courts of England and Wales, who are heavily invested and run by human traffickers and drug traffickers, and have been taking an average of 66.5% profit each year on investment through human trafficking and drug trafficking.
Shit.
Yeah, I worked it all out.
Okay, so Trump's acknowledged that by cancelling his rally in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I was just, when you were telling that story, I was thinking about you going down the local post office with your stack of documents and saying, I want this recorded delivery to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, please. I mean, did the woman in the post office even know what it was, or did somebody else post them for you?
She, it was quite interesting. She was about 45. Hadn't seen that particular one before. The post office address is 1 King Street.
Yeah.
Right? And he said, "Oh, this has just made my career." So I'm posting to Trump. I'm posting to Putin. I'm posting to the Pope. Posting to the Prime Minister. I'm posting to the Queen. I'm posting to Prince Edward, Duke of Kent. I'm posting to all the royal family. I'm posting to the Archbishop of Canterbury. It's just made my career.
Hey, have you got all the receipts that they've signed from? Have you got all those? That'd be quite an interesting post.
I have. I've got a whole file that I can send you a show.
Let's do something with that, because you know what? That's gonna shut up the people that shout bullshit. Say, here's all the receipts from the documents that have been sent. I think that's quite good. We should do that. We'll get that out to the
yeah. Right now, I can give them to you after the chat.
Do that.
Yeah. So we've got all that. The interesting thing about postage and actually doing color copies on the same SRA4, which is oversized A4 cream linen Conqueror paper, as the written documents are on, and binding them all properly in red tape, or in this case white tape, because it was from royal to royal, so it was from me to the Queen. So I use white tape. So you got 5 holes, and then you stitch it through. I use white tape to show that I'm a royal talking to another royal, and that's significant because she's acknowledged that by absconding, right? So I did the proclamation. I signed 3 documents on the 9th of July, Thursday, 9th of July, and on the way down to pick me up, the Northern Motorway was blocked for 50 minutes for absolutely no reason, no accident.
Yeah.
And then on the way back, we got to within about 2 miles of the destination for the signing, and then we hit an island, a traffic island, and we went left instead of straight ahead, and we had to go all the way along, about 3 miles along to a motorway roundabout, and then come back. Right, so we did that, and then there's orange barriers, so we can't go any further. So we had to go into a side road, right, and there's more orange barriers, so we can't go any further. So we went into an even smaller side road, and there's a big bunch of earth on the road blocking it, and then the other road's blocked with orange. And then we're phoning up and there's no telephone reception. And we're cornered about 2 miles from the destination and nothing's working. So we end up going through a really small lane and then finding our way. But what that meant was that we got to the destination, instead of at 6:30, we got there at 8:30. And it takes about 2.5 hours to sign a set of documents. So by the time we signed the first document, we had 26 signatures, second one, 24 signatures, and the third one, 22 signatures.
Yeah.
They're all sufficient numbers, but we finished signing at 11 o'clock, right? So the first, I signed my first proclamation then on Thursday, 9th of July at around 10:30. And it was all...
Yeah, AM or PM?
PM. PM.
Oh, it was that late? You were that late for it? Okay.
Yeah. So by the time people had finished witnessing it, it was, it's pretty close to 11 o'clock. And it's a proclamation, right? And there's a song by the Proclaimers called I Will Walk 500 Miles, I Will Walk 500 More, right?
Yeah.
So the Queen acknowledged it the next day at 6:24 a.m. by issuing a statement that she was going to leave Windsor Castle and go 500 miles to Balmoral Castle in Scotland, right?
Yeah.
So that's acknowledging the proclamation. She's going to go 500 miles by the Proclaimers proclamation, but it's exactly 400 miles from Windsor Castle to Balmoral Castle. So why would you say going 500 miles north unless you're acknowledging the proclamation?
Oh, I see.
She was
actually
responding from Windsor Castle based on my first proclamation. That's where the signs work.
okay. It's weird, isn't it? I mean, I'm getting into it now because being around you for the last few months.
Sorry about that.
Well, it's actually an eye opener. Some people are good with all these numbers and things, but I'm reading people better now and the signs of various things. There's things I remember reading about, and then suddenly, it clicks into place. There's a lot of missing pieces. Suddenly, you'll just remember something. So what are you going to do next, Greg? So what's the plan next then, bud? So you've issued your documents. You must be getting more. They're going to be asking me, because some people think that at the end of the 21 days, it's time to start loading up the weapons and marching into London. I'm trying to tell them, saying, look, it doesn't work like that. Bloodless coup is what you've always said. And so tell us what's next.
Well, yeah, everyone says to me, tell us what's next and what's the next sign and all that. But, you look at what's happened. The British royal family has absconded. The government is entirely useless. Boris Johnson is either useless or his body double or clone is useless.
Yeah.
I mean, he just talks out of his ass, to say it politely.
There's no leadership.
There's no direction from the government at all. And the courts of England and Wales closed from the 19th of March to sometime in July, and maybe they're still closed a bit as well. They're not fully open. And the reason they did that was because of the second Balfour Agreement, which was signed on 15 November 1926. So you got the first Balfour Agreement was giving the Ashkenazi Jews Israel, giving Palestine, calling Israel. So that was the first Balfour Agreement. And the second Balfour Agreement was that if the people lost faith in the government, or the government wasn't working, or the government was being run from overseas, that the Chief Justice would become the monarch.
Who's the current Chief Justice?
It'll be some Ashkenazi Jew.
Yeah.
Literally, they put Ashkenazi Jews in as the Chief Justice all around the world in order for this moment that they could take over from the monarchy and become the monarch of every nation, right? But the judiciaries are closed, and I've done a proclamation awarding the courts of the United Kingdom, the highest courts, as the common law courts of Great Britain and international, not the courts of England and Wales, who are proving to be human traffickers and drug traffickers and totally ignore common law. And most of the people going to court, they just want some common law. I've been harmed, I want retribution. Yeah. And it's to be one step, go and get it done. But it's not, it costs you know, £10,000 to go to court for anything that's £450,000 and over. And then if they decide that you make one mistake, or if the judge is biased and refuses to recuse himself, you're then looking at £250,000 to go to the Court of Appeal. And then you've got to win that even before your case starts, right? Yeah. So the courts of England and Wales are a non-court, and they're all set up to ensure that cases are not heard, so that people die early of begrudgment.
You keep mentioning England and Wales. Why do you not put Scotland in that category?
Scotland's got a different court, and Ireland or Southern Ireland has a different court as well.
Yeah.
So the court of Scotland is quite different. So it's the court of England and Wales. It's known as that. Has some influence in Northern Ireland and some influence in Scotland, but it's not one court system here at all. And the rule is that a nation without a court is not a nation.
Mm-hmm.
So the United Kingdom has not had one court ever, and England and Wales do not have a functioning court. They've got a pedophile and drug trafficking movement that's profiting off that at 66.5% per annum over the last 16 years, at least.
I mean,
right?
The intel that you've got on everybody, man. I mean, I'm glad I'm not a bad boy.
People say, where do you get your intel? You know? And it's like, well, you know, have a meeting with General Lazy, you know, which is do nothing, and then it just comes up.
You must have been struggling before the internet, though, to get all these. That's why I suppose you were a specialist in New Zealand and not really, you know, leaving far from there.
Well, actually, before the internet, I was working on the fall of the Berlin Wall.
Yeah, I know that.
We didn't need the internet. We didn't need the internet. And the internet and cell phones have taken up certain frequencies that human beings used to be able to access.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like if you like a shout out, and then, you know, you get feedback. Or there's kind of frequencies, might sound a bit weird, but there's frequencies where you can communicate with everyone, and everyone would come up, they would hear it. Those that needed to hear it would hear it. It might sound weird, but, you know,
psychic connection. No, I mean, the stuff we talk about now, you and me, there's nothing that sounds weird anymore.
Yeah, but you're going to play us to other people.
That's what I keep saying. I was saying, well, at least 2020 didn't get weird. I had.
Yeah. Well, 2020 is great. You know, it's actually happening. 2016 was a hard year. That was just hard work.
I'm enjoying it. I had a friend of mine pop round today, and he was. I haven't seen him in 6 months. He was like, Mahoney, what the hell? You know, he says, I've watched all your episodes. He says, I'm struggling because it's so different to what you normally do. And he said, the story, you know, they all ask me, he says, look, mate, is this, you know, are you using any tricks? I say, I don't have time to use any tricks. It's just, we record it as it happens. That's why it's so raw and brutal. So I've had you know, we're still getting messages. There's a girl called Lorraine in Louisiana where her grandmother and her father were both taken to hospital on the same day. I mean, the messages of people share. Her grandmother died apparently of COVID. Her father's still in hospital. So she's not doing great, poor little thing. And then Canada is another good one. I've got a guy in Sudley, Eric. He's following it. And then I had somebody from Tonga the other day send messages for you saying, you know, tell Greg love and we love him. And Brazil, the girl in Brazil, Greg, this Anna Marins, I mean, she just came out of nowhere, contacted me, and she's doing so well, Anna. I talked to her a couple of hours ago. You know, the people that help us do the language translations.
Yeah.
I mean, it really helps the Portuguese and the Spanish, and it's in Japanese now. It's great.
Yeah, I've got someone also who wants to translate into Japanese, so if your guy runs out of breath, we've got another one.
Well, the guy in Japan, Owen, I think he's half American, half Japanese, and he was asking about your books as well, and I said, well, one of them's in Japanese already, so I think he's emailed you directly. He told me that you answered.
Yeah, I've spoken to him. He's talking to a major publisher.
And then there's Daniel in Madrid from QAnon Madrid. He does all the translation work in the Spanish, but it's important, you see, because if he puts it in Castilian Spanish, it goes out through all Central America and South America. So the two main languages we needed there was the market in Brazil. Those people really, really need help. They've been abused and bullied for years by the government and the people. So my heart goes out to Central America and Brazil. But we're doing well there. They're getting the messages, mate. It's great. They're great. They love you. I don't know what you do. You've captured them, you know. But you know what somebody said? Somebody said, David, next time you go back, don't drink so much wine together, you and Greg.
Go the next day, didn't it? I mean,
yeah,
because
we got
shot and then Vic stood close up to me, and I looked like I'd been in a swimming pool for a week.
No, it was difficult. What was I going to say? Portugal. Listen, you man, you never told me half the stuff that was going to happen down there until it was too late. You know, you sent us down on one part and it veered off to another. I'm not going to talk about it on this because, well, you know what happened. We've talked, but if this is going to go out before the episode, so I don't want to spoil it. But you know, the hidden signs and secrets in Portugal, it's mental.
I know. It puts Jerusalem to shame.
Well, I've never been to Jerusalem, but Portugal, it's a lot more accessible, you know. So after you told me what to go and check out and film and investigate, both Lee and myself, we just...
we could do 10 episodes just there, wandering around, and you know, I could show you stuff and tell you stuff that's already been removed.
Yeah, really. There's a lot more.
Already been removed since 2014. It's a fascinating place, and you know, I wrote about the two Jesuses in volume 4 and 5 of The Hidden King of England, and someone just showed me a video that this guy put out about, I don't know when, 2014 actually, I think. He's clearly talking about the two Jesuses and how it's recorded in the Bible as Jesus and Barabbas. And Barabbas apparently means Jesus, son of the Father, and the other Jesus of Nazareth was Jesus, King of the Jews. So he's looking at the Bible, this scholarly dude, you know.
Yeah.
And beard and that, you know, long beard.
He looks like Jesus himself.
I know, it's more like Santa Claus. But he's really stating it on a pretty good quality TV channel.
Okay, is that new? That channel? Has that been out a while?
I don't know. I'd have to check it up. But I can send you the link so you can use it if you want.
Yeah, so that in there. I'll have a little look at that. So we've got the Portuguese episode we're editing now, and then what we're going to do next. You know, I'm not sure what to do next because today they cancelled all the flights from Spain, from the UK to Spain, which is stupid. So there's 6 people in hospital in Spain with COVID. That's it. And there was another video released of these American doctors that all went down to Houston. And there was an African lady saying she's treated over 350 people with hydroxychloroquine and it's been successful. And now people are really starting to see the bigger picture now, you know. But still, the government, there was another video saying, you know, we're going to ask people to get health cards. You know, I mean, it's such a hard fight for people that know the truth when the governments out there are just posting more fear, more determination to keep you enslaved by wearing masks, keep you locked in a house, cancel your holidays. I mean, imagine that. You've been locked up for months. You finally get to go on holiday, and then they say, right, no flights to Spain. It's not the Spanish that are doing it. It's the British government.
Yeah. Well, there's no reality in the British government. There's no reality in the British monarchy. And it appears that the British government stole the sovereignty in around 2012 off the Queen, partly in reference to my works, which I'd already published, about a 100-page version, which I wrote in 6 weeks of The Hidden King. And I was giving a talk up in Scotland, and there was a reporter from the Times there, and she bought one. So that was enough to do it. Mm-hmm. So we haven't had a Queen for quite a while. Successively on a whole lot of levels, and the government is trying to be the sovereign. They're completely stuffing it up. they're basically a pedophile, drug trafficking, arms dealing, human trafficking network that pretends to do the opposite, so they can falsify all the figures and cover up their own crimes. So we're living in a non-reality, a sovereign non-reality, and a government non-reality. And the government will put one thing on their own website saying there is no COVID-19 from the 19th of March 2020. And then they'll let the BBC run fair porn everywhere.
Yeah.
And then there's a competition, because what the government was moving the BBC out of London and putting it into Salford and Manchester, and maybe up in New York as well. So BBC didn't really want to move to Salford. It's kind of MI5 Mossad headquarters and massive amount of Hasidic Jews there, like a whole suburb of them walking around at night, see them. So those are all three control mechanisms. So the BBC didn't want to get downgraded. So the BBC is competing with the British government to be the government, right? So the government still needs the BBC to put their information out. Yeah. And then the government could even say there is no COVID-19, and the BBC will put out COVID-19 is spreading, it's accelerating. And the government will go, hang on, we didn't say that. But hang on a minute, you're a bunch of pedophiles and you're a bunch of pedophiles and we want to be the government. No, we're the government and we're the BBC. So you've got this thing going on, and it's just a whole lot of infighting over nothing, because they're both totally corrupt.
Yeah.
450 BBC staff losing their jobs.
I heard.
So there's going to be even less quality reporting, although that might actually improve the quality of reporting by having no BBC reporters.
Yeah.
What you can have now is people go along to events with their phones and report on it in the local accent, and knowing a bit of stuff, and then the BBC can just publish that.
Yeah.
You know, on time, because what happens is the BBC, when they get to an event, it's so late they have to restage it, put some sirens on. Cop car, can you drive around behind me there so it looks like an active scene?
Yeah.
You know, and it's just all staged. So the whole way of reporting is gone, and you know the BBC will never get over Jimmy Savile, and it'll never get over the 4 metre high statue standing above the entrance of BBC since 1926, when the Queen was born. You know, so they politely removed that, but it was up from 1926. Oh. And the BBC was going to open in 1923, right? But they delayed opening until Queen Elizabeth II's birth, because she was just a commoner, and they were using the media, first in radio, then in TV, to promote her as a princess, but she never was, and they knew that. So that's why they used the BBC.
It was our own personal radio station.
It was, yeah, and that's why it's called Bullshit House. That's the local name for it. That's the British SAS name for the BBC, is Bullshit House.
Really?
Seriously. That's absolutely what they call it, and nothing else. Huh. That is all they call it.